Hi guys, how are you? So I'm in my pajamas. I know you guys are in bed, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to finish reading the last chapter of Charlotte's Web. I'm having a problem with my laptop computer, so I have to use my phone, and this angle is not great. But it's just for you guys, and so if you want to pause the video real quickly and go grab some paper so you can draw while I'm reading, since that's what we usually do in my classroom, you can do that. All right, so I'm going to finish chapter 22, and this chapter is called A Warm Wind. And let me just summarize real quickly. Remember, Wilbur has come back to the farm, and he's got the egg sack. He's got Charlotte's egg sack because he convinced Templeton to get it. So I'm going to try to read most of this up without being interrupted because most likely my kids are going to be screaming or something. All right. And so Wilbur came home to his beloved manure pile in the barn cellar. His was a strange homecoming. Around his neck he wore a medal of honor. In his mouth he held a sack of spider eggs. There is no place like home, Wilbur thought, as he placed Charlotte's 514 unborn children carefully in a safe corner. The barn smelled good. His friends, the sheep and the geese, were glad to see him back. The geese gave him a noisy welcome. Kind of like my girls are being really noisy right now. Congratulations, they cried. Nice work. Mr. Zuckerman, I'm reading to my class. You guys need to close your door. Mr. Zuckerman took the medal from Wilbur's neck and hung it on a nail over the pig pen, where visitors could examine it. Wilbur himself could look at it whenever he wanted to. In the days that followed, he was very happy. He grew to a great size. He no longer worried about being killed, for he knew that Mr. Zuckerman would keep him as long as he lived. Wilbur often thought of Charlotte. A few strands of her old web still hung in the doorway. Every day Wilbur would stand and look at the torn, empty web, and a lump would come to his throat. No one had ever had such a friend, so affectionate, so loyal, and so skillful. The autumn days grew shorter. Lurvy brought the squashes and pumpkins from the garden and piled them on the barn floor, where they wouldn't get nipped on frosty nights. The maples and birches turned bright colors, and the wind shook them, and they dropped their leaves one by one to the ground. Under the wild apple trees in the pasture, the red little apples lay thick on the ground, and the sheep gnawed them, and the geese gnawed them, and the foxes came in the night and sniffed them. One evening, just before Christmas, snow began falling. It covered house and barn and fields and woods. Wilbur had never seen snow before. When morning came, he went out and plowed the drifts in his yard for the fun of it. Fern and Avery arrived, and dragging a sled, they coasted down the lane and out onto the frozen pond in the pasture. Coasting is the most fun there is, said Avery. The most fun there is, retorted Fern, is when... Oh my gosh, listen to this. The most fun there is when the Ferris wheel stops, and Henry and I are in the top car, and Henry makes the car swing, and we can see everything for miles and miles and miles. Henry! She's still thinking about him. Goodness! Are you still thinking about that old Ferris wheel? Said Avery in disgust. The fair was weeks and weeks ago. I think about it all the time, said Fern, picking snow from her ear. Oh my goodness! After Christmas, the thermometer dropped to 10 below zero. That's cold. Cold settled on the world. The pasture was bleak and frozen. The cows stayed in the barn all the time now, except on sunny mornings when they went out and sit in the barnyard in the lee of the straw pile. The sheep stayed near the barn, too, for protection. When they were thirsty, they ate snow. That makes sense, because the snow would melt, right? The geese hung around the barnyard the way boys hang around a drugstore, and Mr. Zuckerman fed them corn and turnips to keep them cheerful. Many, many thanks, they always said when they saw food coming. Templeton moved indoors when winter came. His ratty home under the pig trough was too chilly, So he fixed himself a cozy nest in the barn behind the grain bins. He lined it with bits of dirty newspapers and rags, and whenever he found a trinket or a keepsake, he carried it home and stored it there. He continued to visit Wilbur 3 times a day. Do you remember why he's visiting Wilbur? He visited him exactly at mealtime, and Wilbur kept the promise he had made. Wilbur let the rat eat first. Then, when Templeton couldn't hold another mouthful, Wilbur would eat. As a result of overeating, Templeton grew bigger and fatter than any rat you ever saw. He was gigantic. He was as big as a young woodchuck. Oh my gosh, look at this picture of him. Look at Templeton. He is huge. Look, here's a sheep talking to him. What do you think the sheep is telling him? The old sheep spoke to him about his size one day. You would live longer, said the old sheep, if you ate less. Ah, who wants to live forever, sneered the rat. I am naturally a heavy eater, and I get untold satisfaction from the pleasures of the feast. He patted his stomach, grinned at the sheep, and crept upstairs to lie down. All winter, Wilbur watched over Charlotte's egg sack as though he were guarding his own children. He had scooped out a special place in the manure for the sack, next to the board fence. On very cold nights, he lay so that his breath would warm it. For Wilbur, nothing in life was so important as this small, round object. Nothing else mattered. Patiently, he awaited the end of winter and the coming of the little spiders. Life is always a rich and steady time when you are waiting for something to happen or to hatch. The winter ended at last. We remember that, what that's like. Remember when we were waiting for our eggs to hatch? We sure do. I'm going to stop there for tonight, and I will read some more tomorrow. But I do have an assignment for you, so make sure that you read your assignment. I'm going to post this to Class Dojo, and I'm looking forward to seeing your assignment responses. Have a great night, everybody. Or you'll probably listen to this in the morning, so have a great morning. And I didn't realize my hair was looking so crazy.